Now, joining us to discuss the rise in anti-Semitism in Europe is Daniel Seaman, director of the Middle East Forum in Israel. Thanks so much for joining us. So, our first question is, how is Europe dealing with this kind of anti-Semitic incident, and what can it be doing differently? Because we seem to be seeing a rise throughout the entire region.
Well, it's not a rise. It's a return to the way things were before World War II. It seems that the shock of the Holocaust did affect people, and it wasn't acceptable to speak this way about Jews, and it's come back to haunt us, or not us, but to haunt the Europeans. Things that our ancestors had to deal with. Now they're dealing with it, but they're dealing with it in a way that they believe if they ignore it, it'll somehow disappear, or it's just a Jewish problem. And what you see here is these two people who were murdered. One of them, the one woman, she walked by, she said something to the man, and he shot her because of that. I don't know if she's Jewish or not. I don't know if he knew if she was Jewish or not. And the hatred in which he fired and shot at her, he was frustrated for not being able to get into the building itself. And he took that out on her. And this is what people have to understand. It is not just about Jews. Jews are the easy target. Jews are the obvious target. But it's going to affect all of them. It'll affect all of Europe, all of law-abiding and decent people. And that's what the Europeans have to understand.
When you talked a little bit about the education now, but I know that in Germany, for one example, they've made a very concentrated effort to teach Holocaust studies and what happened and how it happened and what led to the events that occurred. So, I mean,
I don't know what's going on in Germany. I've never lived there, but I know that it's not just an issue that pertains to the Holocaust. The Holocaust was a consequence of years of anti-Semitism that built in Europe, and it came out in its most violent form in the Holocaust itself. But it's an issue that some will say the Church, the Catholic Church is behind it, some will say Protestants. I say they breathe it in the air of Europe. And if they don't address it, and how are they not addressing it? It's not only the education of the Holocaust, it's not to accept. It should be totally unacceptable. The way that you can't make remarks about gay people, the same as you can't speak about Muslims and you immediately dubbed as Islamophobic, they should understand it is not acceptable, not for left-wing circles, not for right-wing circles, not for the academia, not for media, not for anybody in this case. While I'm talking, I'm thinking about cases that had happened in France, where you have journalists speaking and bringing out anti-Semitic venom, and the most they'll get is a slap on the wrist. This should be totally unacceptable.
Would you say that there is a relationship between these anti-Semitic attacks in the state of Israel and the way that it is currently viewed in the media?
The only way that it connects to Israel is that we now personify the Jewish people in the sense that they can divert it. So anti-Semitism has now, and many people will say this, has sort of changed itself into anti-Zionism. The only people whose desire for self-determination is being questioned and doubted are the Jewish people. There are other peoples around the world who've been fighting for self-determination. Nobody turns this or their movement into something negative. Those same people who are anti-Semitic have now changed the from anti-Semitism have moved into anti-Zionism, and that becomes acceptable in respectable circles, such as academia, such as in the media. This should be not tolerated under no circumstances whatsoever.
Well, this is just such a shocking event, especially, given what one would say, positive relationship that exists between Germany and Israel, and then this coming out of it.
I'm not so sure about that.
Well, yeah, that's for our next interview, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.